Hi everyone, we're here at Whiteboard.fi and we are going to create a new class. So I'm going to click on new class and I'm going to type a name. I'm just going to type test and pretty much you're all set. So the settings down here are entirely up to you. Let me hide that. If you want to enable the waiting room, this will ask you if students can enter before they get in. I've never had to do this. My students are pretty good about not sharing the code. So that's up to you and the dynamic in your classroom. The other option you have is enable manual save mode for students. So when students are done typing or creating their whiteboard or using their whiteboard, they'll have to hit save before it posts to you so that you can view it. Okay, so these are two options that you can use if you feel necessary. Next, I'm going to click Create New Class. And here it is. It's that simple. I'm going to copy this URL and I'll put it in my Google Meet chat, or I can put it in my Google Classroom for easy access.
You're right.
So here we are, and as students begin entering, you'll see their names pop up. So here I am, and here's my whiteboard. Okay, so as you can see, as the students come in, you will see the tiles. There's no limit to how many students that you can have. So if you have a larger classroom, that's fine, as long as you'll be able to manage the tiles. So if I go to my whiteboard, I'll click toggle my whiteboard, and then I can still see the student whiteboards down below. I can head back up here, and I have all of these options that are outlined in the guide next to this video. You simply can click on the A. I can click down here, and I can type, "How are you?" Now, the students have an option to toggle their teacher whiteboard, so their whiteboard will look similar to this. So once you click outside the field and get rid of the little dots around the editing dots, you can click outside the field and your students will be able to see it if they click on toggle my teacher whiteboard. And it'll look similar to this. So they'll have theirs on top, or yours on top, I'm sorry, the teacher whiteboard on top, and then yours on the bottom. Now, if you look down here on my student whiteboards, you can see my phone is sleeping right now. I went into sleep mode. So when I open it, you can see that I came back on. But when my phone goes out, it shows that I'm not here. So if a student leaves the whiteboard and isn't attending your class, you'll notice that their person will be here and crossed out. If you look over here, this says push. So if I click push, this will push the pages to my students' board. Now, when you push the pages to your students' board, if you have something that they're already working on, it's going to erase their content on that whiteboard. So be sure that when you push things out to students, they're ready to receive it and they're not in the middle of answering a question. If you look up here, you have some options up here. So if you notice that, maybe one of your students shared your code and you need to turn your waiting lobby on, you can click here and do that. If you need to lock the room so no more students can enter, if you enable save mode for students, it will give you the option to click the save button and then it will post to the student whiteboards. If you enable the save mode for teacher, it will do the same thing, and I'll show you that in a minute. If you want to share your screen and show your students other student work, but you want it to be anonymous, you can hide your student names. If you want to clear all the student whiteboards, maybe you want to give them an option to play with it before you start asking them questions and so on, you can clear their whiteboards and then get started. And if you want to save all whiteboards, when you click here, it'll give you the option to download it as a PDF so that you can save it as an artifact or you can grade it later. Then you can X out to close the room. Now I want to go back up here to enable manual save mode for teacher. When I click on that, I'm going to go back to my whiteboard. And when I type in it, I have to hit save before my students can see it. So I can prepare something and then hit save and it will push out to my students. So on the student end, I can click this to open it and make it larger so I can see it, or I can display it for the class, or I can share it on my screen. Now, this is my student whiteboard, and I can click on Actions, and we have some information here. We can save the whiteboard as an image. In doing that, if I save the whiteboard as an image, I can upload it to my whiteboard and share it with my students. I can erase their whiteboard. I can push the teacher whiteboard to students. I can push the teacher whiteboard to students just the current page. And this is only to the one student. So this is a way to differentiate. I can push this teacher whiteboard to student background. So if I want them to be able to write on top of it, if I want to send them a sentence and I want them to circle the noun or the verb, I can do that. And if I want to copy it to the teacher whiteboard, I can do that, which is a lot easier than downloading it as an image and uploading it. And if a student does, something wrong, or a student comes in and starts doodling, then you can remove the student. Then I can click close and I can move on to my other students. So there's a basic overview of Whiteboard.fi.